Mornings are harder to track. So there were 16 this past year, and let me tell you what was 2023. So 2023, there were 22 citations, 19 warnings. And he doesn't specify what those citations were for, but I specifically asked for buoy type tickets and warnings, and that's what we came up with, 16 citations for slow no wake violations in 2024.
So not a huge amount of citations, but there's not a huge amount of traffic on the water.
Right, that goes back to Rick's thing, the patrol was lacking.
Okay, we have proposed doing that. You have a better picture. Would you like to share your picture?
So this is the map just sent out a few weeks ago, where what we did is, we currently have about 80 buoys on the lake. We're looking at having a total of 100 buoys. The buoys on this map are placed at approximately at 200 feet from the shoreline. In the areas where it necks down out of Barefoot Bay, if we put them at 200 feet, it would really shut down that navigation channel. And there, we're pretty much where we're at now, which is 100 feet. So we weren't able to go 200 feet everywhere on this map. And our goal was to establish a smooth shoreline to be able to communicate to people where it is. So it didn't follow it exactly. And also the buoys, they protected like the shallower West Bay, so we're more than 200 feet from the deep in the West Bay. The seminary launch, you go in there, there's no reason to go way in there. Wilmer's launch, and then in front of dockside too. The buoys are approximately 700 feet apart, 800 feet apart. But it would establish a sight line around the lake at approximately the 200 foot, where possible.
Are these points marked with GPS?
They would be marked with GPS, yes.
Okay.
We made it to Stu up, line it all up, we've got a GPS system.
Can I ask Stu your opinion on it?
Well, I kind of think that it goes back to our previous talk that you brought up. I think that we want this demand for all these buoys because we feel like we have a lack of control because there isn't the enforcement that we want. There is an ordinance on the books, and I think that we litter the lake with buoys because we feel that we're not getting the enforcement that we want. I'm on the lake all the time. People do not obey buoys. So it doesn't matter how many buoys you put out there, they're still gonna do what they're gonna do.
Can't enforce without a buoy.
Yeah.
Can't enforce the law without a buoy.
Then how did we have 16 violations? I know that they were after
Slow
time.
wake.
Yeah.
That's time.
So Barefoot Bay is gonna be left alone?
Yeah, that right next down, going to the west. Here. So you can get around there, we're not gonna shut off a navigational channel.
Okay, so you can still go in Barefoot.
Right, and that's where you wanted to do everybody jump on a boat and go see it, but then we can't do that because it's not open, so.
The problem with that spot is that ocean coming from Main Lake over its little swing pipe.
It is a tight zone.
Safety issue, safety, somebody's gonna come out there. Yeah, I mean, well,
So it's not different than today.
there's a lot of close calls. So,
So the only thing I would say with respect to this, there's regulation with the DNR permitting process as well as the town code about placement of buoys, so any proposed plan would need to follow those regulations.
Yep.
So did anybody end up talking to the DNR about this proposed plan? Because I know, Joe talked to him and what they said that less buoys can be more effective if they're done right. So I really think we should get,
Just had the same report from the DNR.
and that's what we came up with that.
I think the distance between these buoys is substantially greater than, maybe the original proposal was just a hand proposal. So next steps for this proposal would be to present the permit application to the DNR, to the town process. I would assume we just present it to the town anyway, cause it's something we're doing. And take feedback from them if we were going to go forward, so that would be the next step.
So, here's, in my mind, so we're gonna have these buoys out, which is, I think is great. But the problem is our private buoys is what's gonna really mess things up. It, like, is there something that we can also maybe ask the town that we could do some sort of ordinance on buoys?
I
Because then
think,
it's,
like, my buoy would have to be in line or be.
right, that's what I was
I
saying.
think it's the DNR's position that we will eliminate all repairing buoys
I
at
was
this
just-
point.
I was
We're
just-
gonna knock on
okay.
everything or take your buoy.
That's what I was asking.
So legally,
That's where I was going now.
legally, any non-permitted buoy would be in violation. So I refer back to the DNR and asking town compliance. So you can't just put a buoy in the lake, whether you're an organization or whether you're a private citizen.
What about mooring buoys?
That's different.
So, but if we went through the permitting process, we would have to communicate to riparian owners that their private buoy could either be donated to the Lake District and repositioned according to the DNR permit, or it would be removed,
Or they have their own permit and.
or they can get their own permit.
Yep, correct. I don't know if we should be doing the removing per se, probably should be DNR or the town, but we can probably, I haven't investigated that, but we could investigate that.
So we're back to no enforcement.
Next one.
Next meeting.
And we have Stu that's lived on the lake his entire life. I mean, I take what he says, you know, pretty much to heart. What, he stated that people won't listen to buoys.
Yeah. One after another today.
I think part of the reason they don't listen, they don't pay attention to buoys is because there is no enforcement on the lake. I agree.
Okay, so we need to get the enforcement part coming first.
Well,
We won't put the buoys in overnight.
Yeah.
This is gonna take 6 weeks.
For best case.
I don't believe we're gonna get the enforcement, but I was thinking.
I mean, that's we could appeal for the town sheriff, for the town sheriff.
We have excess 10 grand that we can put in the,
So let's just talk about buoys, because that's on the agenda.
I did that. My fault.
You can just call for a motion or call a question.
All right, I will call the question. Is there, any desired action on the agenda item number 6?
what's, 20 more buoys?
Begin the process with it. DNR might say it's too many buoys. It's a proposal that we have to align with the town, make sure it's okay with them, align with the DNR, and let's head that direction. It probably will look a little different when we're finished.
The other
We're
question,
gonna start.
the other question is gonna be how we get them in and out in the man hours that it's gonna take to do that, because I know it even takes a while to get what ones we do have out there. So is this gonna be something that falls, like, because what we were talking about before, buoy placement on some other lakes is done by a service. So is this something that we're gonna look to have a service do, so we're not gonna add more on to the plate, that Stu's not able to get them out till halfway through the summer?
I think we're gonna have to look at options. I cannot tell you how many times I've heard people complain about lack of enforcement on the lake and inconsistent buoys. So I think it's gonna be worth our while to do. I agree that we may have a manpower problem.
I don't think we do that.
We do it pretty efficiently.
Maybe that's not.
We'll work it out.
We'll work it out. Oh, if we're going for a free program, then fine. Please, Tom.
We talked about the sensitive area several times. Is there a way to get a different color buoy or the buoy that actually says sensitive area and really mark them on the lake so that we could do a better job of educating people where they are, why they're important, and why we need to respect them?
I think that would be the first focus of the initial buoys, is to protect the sensitive areas. So those would be the areas that we have pointed out, in the area, in West Bay. You see it right there, huh? I'm calling the question. Does that help this time? Is there a motion on the table to start this process? So the initial steps would be DNR permitting, going and, presenting to the town.
Yeah, town alignment.
Town alignment, then DNR permit.
That's what the buoy map's gonna be, based on the town ordinance.
Yes. Is that a motion?
Yes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? I'm sorry. So the late strike call. All right, we have an activity. Status report on proposed changes to easement and lease agreement at PA 181800002. That's the LBMD property across from, the former Double D's restaurant. Discussion and possible action. Ron, do you have comments on that?
Item number 8, I'm sorry,
Seven?
there's no updates that I've received, so I don't know if it's a dead issue. I mean, there's legal issues anyway with it, but
There's some legal issues. I think from a board perspective, we were awaiting, construction of a residential property on the lease, on the property to make changes to the lease. So at this point, I'd entertain a motion to table this issue until we see some further activity on the property.
and I would recommend not even tabling, and take it off the table, technically, so we can just move on to the next one.
Okay, we'll just move on to the next item. Status report on Canada Goose mitigation. The permit was approved, and that's really all I have on that. New, sorry. Thank you, Kim, that would be more appropriate. New business. The management district has in its bylaws a quorum of, 3. I don't intend to take any action on this matter tonight, and I don't believe we can take any action on this matter tonight, because we have to take action on it at an annual meeting to change our bylaws. With, a board of this size, a quorum of 3 seems a little light. I think that we should at least have a majority, in place for a quorum. That's, also from a practical standpoint, if any 3 of us together, we must avoid discussing any management district business. So, I don't know if there's any discussion on that. I think that's something that will be on the agenda for the annual meeting to increase the quorum requirement to 4 commissioners.
It's my understanding the board has to discuss it first and say what they want to do, and then it's presented at the annual meeting for the recreational.
So we need a motion on it now.
You don't need a motion, so I think the purpose of today would be just discussion on it. I would plan to probably have some amendments or modifications to the bylaws, just to clean a few things up. If you wanted me to make this change also, I could do that. And then the idea would be at the annual meeting, that all the pairing owners would then approve that. So you don't have to talk about it, but it's proven.
We will see it before the annual meeting.
I can certainly present to the board before the annual meeting, yeah, put on the next agenda.
We ask that you present to the board on this subject at the next meeting.
Sure, but I mean, you guys can take like just a voice vote, or if there's any feedback, if majority makes sense versus 3. I mean, you can make a form technically whatever you
Four
want.
would be the majority, right?
Yeah.
7 board members. So
And that would be industry standard, for lack of a better term.
I'd be in favor of 4. 4.
4.
was not a skilled water quality expert to understand. So I sat down and tried to put the water quality data into some charts and some pictures that made sense to me, and realized that I wasn't a water quality expert sufficient to understand which things were important. So I talked to Robert Nada. A lot of you are familiar with his work, and he focused me on establishing some basic benchmarks for water quality that we could put potentially on the district's dashboard. And they are really some of the more important water quality measures that are observed by a lot of lakes are looking at these things. So one, and the first one we have is pH. I think when we look at our lake's pH, we've got a Marl Lake, so we're gonna have a relatively higher pH. So we put together some graphs, we'll play show and tell. And you can see that our data goes all the way back to December of 2007. We've got a couple of years that we missed here and there, but I think this is a really important thing. I would advise against looking at small year-to-year changes. You want to look at trends. So the nice thing with graphs is we get to see long-term trends and we get to see short-term sudden movements in trends. So any person like me can understand, oh, this is going up, this is something we should understand. So, one of the things that we talked about, this happens to be the pH thing. We can see that the pH looks like it's going up. We actually think that that's a function of the way the test was done. Okay, most of the testing at this lake has been done on site. pH testing is done on site. When you have a water sample that you hold, pH tends to rise. I don't know why. I assume that was taught to me in chemistry at some point, and I forgot. We also have specific conductivity. Specific conductivity is how well water conducts electricity. It reflects the concentration of dissolved minerals in the lake and is generally controlled by the type of geology in the lake. So we have a Marl Lake, which means that our specific conductivity is in the higher range. And this is something that we monitor in connection with well water pumping, right? With the well number, I forgot what number, but the east road well. So that we monitor on a regular basis. This is labeled ammonium, which kind of drives me nuts because it's just nitrogen. We don't understand exactly what's going on here, so Bob is working on this graph, and when he figures it out, he's gonna help me understand it so I can put something together for you all. Hardness is again a function of the bottom of our lake. So high levels of hardness and alkalinity can cause marl, which is calcium carbonate. We of course are a Marl Lake, things I learned from Protect Lake Beulah. Hard water lakes tend to produce more fish and aquatic plants than soft water lakes. So we are, holding this upside down, a relatively hard water lake.
Very hard water. That's a very good thing.
And then, I think if many of you are familiar with Kim's work on the Protect Lake Beulah site, this is yours, right?
WTNR, yeah, Wisconsin.
You're familiar with the
Citizens Lake Monitor Network.
but you've seen this figure before, which is our eutrophic index, right? That's what it's called. And this tracks the main ingredients, if you will, that determine if we have a healthy lake. So this would track the total phosphorus and the chlorophyll in the lake along with the Secchi-Des reading. So that's how clear the lake water is. So these are things that we're going to be putting, if the board approves, we'll put on the Management District's website, and we'll try and keep updated from a year-to-year basis so we can all take a look at what's going on with our lake. If this is not a complete picture of what's going on, oh, I did miss one obvious one, didn't I? Let me skip the that's one that I think is near and dear to everyone's hearts with, use of salt on our roads. I think the town of East Roy has actually gone to brine, so it's a lot lower salt, concentration. That's good for our lake. We're happy, for that kind of change. We'd like to see even more of that, or less of that. Sorry, I said that wrong. And our salt concentration is definitely in the low range even for Wisconsin. So that's good news for that. Any comments on the information of, maybe trying to post some of the explanation that goes
Yeah, I
along
think it
with
should
it?
be up. I don't even know if you need a motion.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I'll make motions to take this one, so.
Okay.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Alright.
All right, let's post it. I will get that to you. I know, I'm trying to get some explanations for you. Executive Beulah, is there a report from POB today?
Just real quickly, we're gonna continue to do our educational sessions. We wanna do another one on the sensitive areas, but very specific to Lake Beulah, where they are, why they're important, what do we need to do to preserve them. I would like to thank John Stoss, who's been videotaping all of those sessions. We're putting them onto our website. When I first joined the organization, we were getting like 16 to 30 hits on our website in a month. This last month, we had over 1,200 hits. So people are going to our website, they're looking at it, and it's working as an educational tool. So we're excited about that. We're starting to do videotaping. We're actually gonna be working with divers to go down and videotape the areas by the horns, the other sensitive areas that are on the lake, so that we have very clear documentation from a year-to-year standpoint. What does it look like next year versus what it looks like this year? We have some footage from 20 years ago, and it certainly doesn't look like it did 20 years ago, so there definitely are changes that are happening. We're not doing our fish stocking this year for the first time in many, many years. Instead, we're focusing on habitat improvement. We always do programming working with kids. Rather than having kids release fish, we're gonna have kids working to put some habitat into the lake to help the fish population here. So that'll be one of our programs this year. We're looking at doing some additional testing. From the testing the test results that you saw from Terra Vigilance tonight was done with a wake boat that wasn't a very powerful wake boat. We're looking at repeating that with something that's more representative with what we have here on our lake, and also doing the video footage of actual camera work while that's being done, so that we can see what's happening. So, again, I'd like to thank all of the people who are working with us from the Grassroots Initiative. We have a meeting actually it's a party. It's a get-together with all the area chairs, where we're looking at engaging lake members and homeowners around the lake to join us in our initiatives, and that is all going very, very well. Thank you, Carrie. And that's it. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
No report.
Thanks. Public comment.